Hello, this is Roger with Wild Honeybees. These, this here is my weaker hive. Been trying to had some problems with hive beetles before, but at the moment I'm not seeing too much when it comes to hive beetles. Not too much. I don't see any right now, but there is other pests in here there. So what I've added so far in these corners, I have these little slow release vials, and they're actually filled with peppermint oil. And they pretty much keep out the hive beetles. But I do have oil traps also for any hive beetles. But this hive was lacking before. It was lacking a queen, and I added a new brood inside into this hive. And I'm hoping they either a queen came back from a mating flight, or that they actually made a queen with the brood I gave them. But we'll see right now. We'll see what they did here. So before all, I gotta remove these oil traps. They work good, but then the drawback to them is that if you forget to take them off, you end up spilling oil or onto your bees and whatnot. And this oil trap, I need to clean it, as it has quite a bit of hive beetles in it from prior. I just haven't cleaned it out so far, and I need to empty it out and put some fresh oil in it. But right now we'll check this one out and see how it's doing. As far as it looks like, I was feeding this hive, and by the looks of it, it is major desperate need of food. We'll see what the other racks have in it. But I was feeding it sugar water one to one, and in Hawaii here, also it does have nectar. They do have nectar. I still don't see no brood in this this hive, and I don't see a queen either. There's workers. Like I say, I've been adding frames with brood in there to try to keep the population up. And I did add a rack of honey here maybe about a week and a half ago. I think it was either last week or the week before. I did add a rack of honey, and it looks like that rack still has plenty of honey inside. Oh, it does look like they did do queen cells. They did some queen cells, and they do have, so they did 3 queen cells. It looks like they built 3 queen cells, and they look like they're hatched out. So I don't see any brood yet, but if they got, at least they hatched out 3 queen cells, at least I know that they made some queens. Now where she's at so far on this rack, she's not there. And take a look at the other racks and see if there's any difference between that. They're pretty calm, so a little runny. Not too bad. This hive is more of one of my tamer hives, and yeah, they're a little runny. Yeah, I see honey where they put nectar and stuff, but so far I don't see any brood. I don't see any brood yet, and they're getting feisty a little bit. Again, a tad bit feisty, but not too bad. So I'm hoping to see some kind of brood pattern and So far, I don't see any brood pattern. Um, Besides what the brood I added, so I don't even see a queen yet, and that's a little disappointing because I was pretty sure they would hatch one, and it looked like they did hatch one. So maybe she's on her mating flight if she's not in here, or if she's in here, she's hasn't mated yet. So this don't know. They look really running. They're really running, acting really running, and that's behavior like they're queenless. So far I don't see any queens per se. Don't see any at the moment. It's really runny, and I don't see anything. But I did see some hatched queen cells, so we can hope that they went on a mating flight and they'll be back. One of them will be back, hopefully. I do have the guardians on this hive. And actually, on all my hives, I do have guardian entrance reducers. And that was another preventative for the hive beetles. It did work most of the time, but the hive beetles still managed to get slipped by it. Every so often, you would find hive beetles inside. And these hives are pretty much enclosed. I don't have any major gaps or anything. So how they work? Well, they do work up to a point, but you have to have other methods of controlling these hive beetles. This hive is not too bad. I saw maybe one hive beetle, and that's with so like that's with all these preventatives I have in here, which I'm trying to like prevent them from being in here. Those hive beetles. It's like the biggest pest I've had to deal with. Most of my hives in general, I don't use chemicals, so I don't treat for mites in using any kind of chemical to treat for mites. I do have oil pans at the bottom for treating mites, and I do use natural methods to treat, but I don't use chemicals of any sort. So chemicals are just, if the way I look at it, if there's a skull and crossbone on a chemical, you put it in your hive, you wouldn't indigest it yourself, and I just don't agree that you put that in your hive with your bees that you're going to be eating honey from. It's just my expertise on the matter. Other people think differently, but in my case, anything I'm going to be eating, I don't want any kind of chemicals inside my box with my bees. So I'll have to come back and check this box next week. If anything, I do recommend though, if any is like one of these bars. This is a frame bar, but this one has no weld points to it, so it's just bent in a certain direction, and this one works so great. But yeah, so yeah, this hive seems to be queenless. So I'll come back and check it next week and see if those one of those queens came back or not. But looks of it, it looks like it's queenless at the moment. My other hive, which is my big huge hive, which is this huge one here. This is about 4 boxes high. These are deep boxes. I don't really mess with the medium boxes. I do have a few, but it's not on this hive, and I know it gets heavy when it does get honey in it, and it gets polished down, and they do work it real good. I did collect honey off of this hive about a week and a half ago. I think it's about 2 weeks now, or it might have been last week. But I don't know. Yeah, it's a little tall to get a inside view of this one, but this is one of my hives, other hives that I have, and my other one is my long box hive, which is doing really good too. So, I have this long box. It's pretty. Um, this is a wild bees. It came from the forest. They just flew in into one of the nukes I had, and I transferred them into this long box. And then I have this smaller box here. This is also wild bees. This one is sort of aggressive sometimes, but these other two boxes, I ended up buying these. Um, so they're an Italian sort of honeybee. So I think it's an Italian mix of some sort. But yeah, as of right now, this has been my most productive box. And yeah, I've had to deal with hive beetles in pretty much all of these hives at one point in time. Um, it's like one of the biggest pests I have to deal with, but this is the biggest box I have with honey, and I'm hoping to collect another some more honey off of it. I usually don't collect that much when I do harvest. I usually take maybe 1 or 2 racks and then just go from there. But it just depends how much honey they got, and yeah, sorry that I can't get the top of the box. It's just really high, and I just can't get it on the video. But I'll show you what I mean. So this is I believe this is the racks. So this is one of the racks I collected honey from, and it's not bad. They cleaned it out, or looks like, and they're doing some repair to it. So this is when I collected honey from, and I do have a couple other racks in here that I really wanted to look at and see how they're doing. And it doesn't look like there's much happening in here for now. So, but it doesn't look like there's much happening here. But let me look at this other one. This one looks pretty heavy. This one feels heavy. Yeah, so this one is full of nectar. They haven't capped it off yet, but so this is my video cut off. So just letting you watch what I was doing here. I do have a few hive beetles I'm killing off right now, but it's not too bad actually. And I do think that peppermint does help. It is not perfect like any other thing else I've used, but it's a major decrease in hive beetles. Before I used to have like 50 to 100 hive beetles just swarming in these beehives, just coming from somewhere else, and they just fly in through the front entrance. But as you can see, this has it's a beautiful honey amount in here. Not full, but it's not full, but it's not bad actually. It's almost there. There's a beautiful brood pattern on this backside, and well, it looks there. It's looking not bad. It looks pretty nice. That's all I need to look about in this hive. This hive's doing real good. I was hoping to get some honey out of it, but it's not quite there yet. It's getting there, but it might be a couple more weeks, maybe a month. It depends how fast they build the honey in here, and most of our honey is ohia trees. They got the beautiful red flower, and there is some flowering at this time, but I really can't show you at the moment. But there is some flowering, and there's some red flowers up there on the trees. It's technically the wrong time of the year for them flowering, but sometimes they flower off season when they shouldn't be flowering. But most of the time they flower during the springtime. some of these trees have lost count when it's spring. And but it's not bad nonetheless. The honey does come out like a nice clear looking yellow. And also I also have peppermint oil in this one as well, and slow release tubes, which I got from horizontalhive.com. It's used for swarm traps, for catching swarms, and they work great for that. If you want to catch swarms, you put a little lemongrass in there, and you be catching swarms pretty good. Just get a swarm. For swarms, they work great. For the peppermint, I use them for that, and they work great for that too. I know this hive is my long hive, and it's been doing great. It's not too bad. I do have sometimes little slug problems in the top here, but it's not too bad. And this one's a little aggressive, pretty mild. They do boil out of the hive though. Again, I said that this is a wild colony that they get. So they, in that perspective, like that, they are a wild colony. But it looks like they're now. This last time I checked this one didn't have any hive beetles in it, which was great. And I noticed that they were doing super good. And that was even without that was just with my oil traps on the bottom, my oil pans, which are underneath there. I gotta break the Papala seal in here. It's pretty stuck down in here. But yeah, it looks to me like they're doing really good. I'm sorry if the video cuts off. I know I'm running out of space again, but let me show you. I'll show you guys a little bit of what I'm talking about here. I'm getting smoked out here a little bit, but yeah. So some of these racks, I made them myself, and I try to get them to the commercial size, but they're not 100% perfect all the time. But yeah, there's a lot of drones in this hive. I know they've wanted to swarm and damage the honeycomb a little bit there. That's gonna piss them off a little bit, but they got lots of brood, good pattern, and yeah, they're not gonna be happy about that. I did bust their comb up a little bit, but yeah. So for any of those that want to have beekeeping, I recommend it. It's a new experience. I mean, for me, I've had bees over a course of about 6 years, and I've been battling the hive beetles for so long. Again, I lost hives and hives and hives to hive beetles, and I tried every kind of thing you can try. I tried the interest reducers, guardians. I tried making clear lids so sunlight goes through and it run them to the bottom of the hive. And all of this worked up to certain points, but they would always get overrun. So now I've been using this peppermint, which I heard it works from Hillbilly Earl, and pretty much it works pretty good. I do have still sometimes I do get a few hive beetles here and there, but it's not like overtaking my whole hive. And this one's beautiful. It has I can see a good brood pattern inside. It has good larvae. So there's really not much I don't need to be looking through here no more. But yeah, so I do recommend getting yourself some hives. And if you're looking into get into hives, you don't have to have a lot of time to get into them, and you can check them out. And it's really a nice hobby to get into. And they do pollinate. I have mine for pollination. That is my biggest thing I have them for. Because before I had these hives, um, I didn't have any pollination up in this area. Only maybe flies and certain pretty much flies, but certain I did have a few things that did pollinize, but it wasn't that much stuff. And yeah, they're not happy about that. They're pissed off that I busted up their comb. But yeah, they are not happy. Yeah, this is my more aggressive hive, but I really like this hive. They do